Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got a lot of vowels. I don't have a bingo. I've got union, which leaves two vowels, which isn't great. Now, do I have an alternative play? I could play uoi, but that's keeping duplicate n. So I think I prefer the rack leave of ei. But is there some alternative play? I certainly want to play off the U and one or both O's. So I can't see anything apart from union, and I'll play it here. Union takes a B in front. Union does have extensions, ISE and IZE. But I think we'll just see what happens. Pretty good. That looks close to a bingo. I'm sure there's an 8 through the right floater. And I'm mainly looking at the N, because I think a bingo is more likely to come from a consonant than a vowel floater. And I can't see such a bingo. Now, in terms of sorting this rack out, well, just playing off OE would leave a fairly decent 5-letter rack leave, slightly vowel heavy. Dare or dire would probably be the optimal rack leaves. But if I play off just OEI, even if that were possible, it's unlikely to score much. I don't have a 3-letter extension to union with this rack. Now, my opponent will probably play parallel to union, but if he plays through it, there could be additional floaters. So I'm just thinking about what floaters would give me an 8, so I'm mentally running through the consonants in my mind. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm up to L. I would have leporidi through the right 2 floaters. S looks promising, but I'm not seeing anything. As does T. Well, so radiate through both of them. Well, I can't see a bingo with any floater. And there's only 1-point tiles on the board. So at the moment, I'm going to struggle to score anything. But simply playing off OE would leave a decent rack leave. My opponent taking a while with his opening move. Now plays it. So I've got EN. Can't see anything through that. But I do now have a high-scoring tile to consider. So do I have anything coming down through JO or running parallel to union? So JO takes an E after it. So I could play AE or EA. ODE. Ode. Let me see what this scores. Not a great rack leave. 2 consonant heavy and only 22 points. So let me put that back. Now, what about a play down through JO or beginning JO? Not quite Rioja. I don't have Re-John. I have Dojo, but that's keeping 4 vowels, so that's not better than the previous play I was considering. Nothing goes in front of JO, no single tile. A G takes nothing after it. Nothing goes after U apart from the R. So I've got roadie on my rack. Maybe there is a longer play which works underneath here. I've got 17 minutes left. Now my R can also go underneath Joe. but then it can't go underneath the U. Well, I think I've spent long enough on this play. And I think the best I've seen is Ode. If I draw the right constants, this could be a strong rack next go. 22 points. Well, that's not great. However, I'm not drowning in vowels, and I do have an I to go with the Q. I've blocked the U of union, which is slightly annoying. Now, my Q can go straight in front of aid to make Cade. Rackley's pretty miserable, but I am getting rid of the Q and scoring over 30 points. Joe takes an S in front for future reference. Aid takes an E after it, which would kill the Cade spot. Apart from Cade, I haven't seen anywhere for my Q. Onto an F, I would have Whack, but that would keep duplicate I. I don't have to play the Q off if that spot is blocked. And I can't play the Q, then I would be looking to play off the W. And score well, and leave one of the I's to go with the Q. I'm just looking around to see what I can do with my W on the board as it stands now, and I could play where and nor for 18 points. The E doesn't go great with the Q unless I've got a U. Still 3 U's to come. W also goes in front of aid, but I can't see any way of playing off one of the I's in that position. Joe takes an S and a Y after it. Now onto an N, I would have chin. No N available. My opponent again taking a while with their move, so we've both used about 4 minutes. So quite a slow start to the game. But that's often the case when you've got tricky racks. And already the board is quite tight. There are almost no floaters. The U of union and E of a G are available, but not ideally placed. And a G has pretty much killed the union extensions to the triple word square, because the ones I thought of had an I in this position. Ah, great, my Cade spot remains available, and there's a new one here. Now, liably, I don't know that. It's a 6-letter word I haven't studied, so I will challenge it. Wow, it comes off. Gosh. Well, I thought my opponent would have been confident about that to have played it. Anyway, I'm glad I challenged it. So, QI it is. Maybe, sorry, Cade it is. I'm just wondering with liably whether I could have had the Q both ways for over 60, but I'm pretty sure I couldn't. Now, is this the best I can do? I think it is, because I think the Q has to go here. There's nowhere for QI, and it's certainly not worth hanging on to the Q when I can get 34 points for it this time. And vowels go quite well with the W, so hopefully next go I can sort the rack out and get rid of the W. And also, the board's quite tight, and my opponent might open up some opportunities, and Cade's done a good job in closing down parallel plays to Ode. Well, pretty dismal pickup, another vowel, but not immensely surprising. So a play of where would leave A, E, I, which is not great. But if I can score enough, then that's fine. Even though I've only got one W, I am looking to play it for 2 reasons. One, to get some score. It's the only scoring tile I've got. And also to jettison it because it's not a bingo-y tile. Even if I keep A, E, I, that's a very vowel-heavy rack leaf, but it is a bingo-y set of tiles. I can't think of any any words which include I-J-O-E, so column 11 has no hotness. This board is very tight, but my opponent's got the B, so he's always got the option to play in column 7. However, anything he plays in that column is not going to score very much because the word won't get doubled. Okay, now a buy takes an E after it, and a B and G in front. So what do I have? An NO takes a W after it, but I can't see any E something W plays. I'm looking to see if I've got a play, a 5-letter play, leaving 2 vowels rather than 3. But having said that, I haven't seen anywhere for where. Now, what I could do is play our down here. 19 points, keeping E double IR. But that really provides a very easy scoring opportunity for my opponent. It provides a very hot column in column 5 and in row K with a vowel next to this double word square. So I don't feel great about that. What about a play across here with WE? So AWE. Well, what about where? For 27 points, it's a good score. It's a wretched rack leave. Where does take an S in front, so there is some hotness in column 5, but when my opponent played liably, he didn't have an S. His board's pretty tight, so if he doesn't have an S, he's likely to, well, he could well play in column K, opening up the board more for me. So I'm going with this. Great, and I draw an S. The rest of the rack is wretched. But it's good to have an S. Now I'm going to struggle to play off 2 I's here through a floating L, which I know my opponent's got. I would have I, which would sort the rack out in one move, and also I's. The only obvious move which is springing to mind here is AIA. But that's going to score so little and provide so much to my opponent that changing would probably be better. If I changed here, I could keep just E and S. Now, my opponent's provided another S spot. But he hasn't provided anywhere for AIA. And since AIA doesn't score very much and leaves a duplicate I rack leave, well, I've just seen something. What about AIAS across here? Let me see what this scores. 14 points. Is that better than changing? Keeping E double I. Well, the S is worth about 8 points, and say the E's worth 4. I think that's pretty close. So, if it's close, I'm going to go with the move with the better rack leave, which involves changing, and I need to pick up the pace here because a lot of time's gone. So, it may be better to keep an A or an I with this. The E does need one more vowel to go with it, and there are no floating vowels on this board. But turning over more tiles increases my chances of drawing one of the unplayed blanks. Ooh, and I pick 5 consonants. How wretched. Okay. Well, I do have a vowel. Gosh, that's annoying. Especially with column 15 being such a hot lane for S's and having an F, having an S. Literal takes an S. Al takes an F. So I could play Fem across here, but that's keeping 4 consonants. It would be nice to keep just the one. So I'm thinking about maybe playing Deft somewhere. And if I play it up here, I'm opening the board up, and I'm behind, so I like the idea of opening the board up. And more importantly, I'm keeping only 3 consonants rather than 4. 18 points is not a great score. So what could I get by playing in column 15 and pluralising literal? So I could play Feds. 31 points, an extra 13 points. Keeping GMT. Well, the S is worth about 8, so I think that's fairly close. I think I prefer Deft because I am providing a hotspot for my M and keeping attention away from column 15. That's looking better. To an A, I would have orgasmed. Can't see any 7s with this rack. Just looking at the other floaters, and really it's just the D and D of Deft. Well, there's also the L. But this is a much better rack than the previous one. I could play Smorg, or Smorg at the bottom. For 40 points, that's pretty good, and a decent rack leave of DE, so I think this play of Deft has played off. Now I have Moa down here. 28 points. There's also column 8 available for 6-letter plays beginning AL. I can't see anything with an M in 3rd place. So quite a critical time. I'm only 20 points behind. And I've got a rack which is looking close to a bingo. However, Smorg is going to produce a pretty random rack next time with 5 tiles drawn from the bag. I suppose a better rack lead would be Reds if I could play Mog somewhere, which I can do, but for not enough score to justify playing it over Smorg. Just looking around for any lanes I've overlooked. Wow, another nice bingo for my opponent. He has provided an A, but in not the right position for orgasm, so I don't have a bingo through that. I think I'm going to leave this all open and play Smorg. Still 1 blank to come. 40 points. Now, these are a fairly bingo-y set of tiles, but there are duplicates and there is a preponderance of vowels. Now, my G, bottom right, allows for ing words. I can't see such a play. Can't see anything ending with the R. Now, what about the S? No, can't see anything there. Can't see anything through the A. And the D and the E duplicate tiles on my rack. And I can't see bingos through them. So this is not great. I need to play off the N and an E and an O. So if I played off 1, I would be keeping Dine, which is a fairly okay rack lead despite the duplicates. It goes well with the G of Smorg and the S of Satires. And I'd like to keep the board open. I'm not too worried about scoring with this rack because it doesn't look like it has much scoring potential. Still 40 tiles left, and we've both taken quite a bit of time. And I want to keep this G available. I'm just considering my rack for words ending ed. So through a J, I would have enjoined. That's the only bingo I've spotted so far. Just mentally running through the alphabet, and I haven't seen anything else. Okay, 30 points for my opponent. That could have been worse if that play had been one square to the left. A new floater, the I, not particularly useful. So what about playing one or eon? So I could play it here. 21 points, which is a fairly decent score. It is opening up a new bingo lane. It's not opening up row H across here. Except it is, because an A and a P can go there. Now this is fairly dangerous, but I'm 90 points behind, and this does keep the board open. And it's a wide open board anyway, and I'd like it to stay that way. And I can't see anywhere else great for EON, and I think this is... Well, what about playing it here? Let me put this back. And there are reasons for this. So, playing it here scores 18 points, which is nearly the same as I was getting over here. It doesn't provide access to this triple word square. But playing it here keeps open column 2 for bingos ending in E. The D and the E weren't the most useful floaters because they duplicated tiles on my rack. And it does provide a hotspot in column 4, which either of us can play in, but then that's advantageous to me if somebody does play down from A4 because it's opening up row A. So I'm going with this. Okay, that looks pretty good. Through a D, I would have trendoid. Well, I've just blocked that. So is there a 7 here? I think indentor would be good through an N. I would have retinoid through an I. Now, is this one of these racks which looks hugely bingo-y, but there isn't one here, or am I overlooking a bingo? 8 minutes on my clock and still 29 tiles to come. I've got the inter prefix. Gosh, this looks such a good rack. I would have oriented through an E. Great, so my player 1 actually blocked bingos through both the D and the E. I can't play retinoid through this I. Do I have anything through this L? Can't see anything. Well, if there's a 7-letter play, it may well play in column 2, but I can't see it. I'm just going to consider the initial letters for 7s here. Can't see anything beginning with D, or the E, or the I. Norited, not good. Well, if there is something here, it's hugely high probability and I've overlooked it. So, what to do? I want to keep lanes open. It would be nice to open the top of the board, but I haven't got anything to go either side of God. Nothing goes in front of deft. Garb takes an E. How many E's left? 4 to come, so this E is quite valuable. 6 minutes on my clock. Just wondering about playing Don down here. Well, I don't want to play my N because I've got the ing ending. So a play of OD somewhere would probably be best. 6 minutes on my clock. I don't think Dune is good, although it might be. Well, I'm going to play it here. It doesn't give anything away. 12 points. Okay, so I have reciting in row O. I have citrine in column 2, so I'm definitely bingoing. And I'm short on time, so I'm going to bingo quite quickly. There's still a blank out there. I'm 90 points behind with my opponent on turn, so a bingo is not going to be enough. But it's certainly going to be nice to get one down. So my opponent's taken my best lane, which is good play by him. I've got citrine and crinite in column 2. Now, what else is there? I think this is all that I've seen. Citrine, 74 points. Pretty horrendous pickup. I'm 40 points behind. 2 Vs and a U is fairly grim stuff, and the remaining tiles in the bag are pretty good. And the board has gone from being open to being pretty closed, and citrine hasn't helped in terms of opening up the top of the board. Still 1S and a blank to come in terms of column 15, and there's this floating eye of Zisti, but there's now a really hot spot in column 1 parallel to citrine for a 40 or 50 point play or more, either using the H1 triple word square or the O1 one at the bottom coming down from X. Yeah, 63 points. So my opponent's now in a fairly strong position, 100 points up. 4 minutes on my clock. I'm thinking about changing here. There are still 2 good bingo lanes. There's column 15, there's row N. But is there something better than changing? I know that my V can go in front of VUG. I think I do need to change. I have to bingo to win, and it's going to take me more than one move to sort out U, V, V, and N. Let me check the vowel situation. 9 vowels out of 21 tiles. I think I'll keep the A because there's only one A to come. I'll keep the E because it's bingo-y. I'll keep the N because I need a good vowel consonant balance. Okay. Slightly vowel heavy. I have domain as a 7. But there are no 7-letter lanes on this board, apart from the FOPS one. A Midogen through a G. 28 points for my opponent, so I'm now 120 behind. And my opponent has killed one of my good lanes, so I need to open a new one. Well, this is looking a bit grim. Am I Done is also good. Now, AR is available. Bingo's ending AR. Can't see anything there. If I play down to FOP, it's going to help my opponent obstruct column 15, which I want to keep open. So maybe a play in row M, opening up row N would be a good idea. I can't see a way of scoring well. I'm going to play off the D as well to increase my chances of drawing an S or a blank. Now, what about playing an E as well? Let me check the vowel situation. 6 out of 18. I think I'll keep this rack leave. And I draw the 2 Vs that I threw back. So the game is looking increasingly grim. 2 minutes on my clock, 9 tiles in the bag. There have to be 7 tiles in the bag for me to change. So if my opponent plays more than 2 tiles, I can't change. I'm looking around for ways to open this board up. And even if I can, I think I'm so far behind now that that I'm not going to be able to win. Column 8 is available for PN Gadju. I think that's the only 8 I can think of ending in U. Now I have opened a bingo lane in row N. My opponent doesn't know that I've got the 2 Vs. Now I can get rid of the 2 Vs by playing just Vav. I think I'll do that. My opponent can't shut down both bingo lanes, so even though this game looks lost, it's still important to lose by the smallest margin. Zistai takes nothing after it, and KI takes nothing in front of it, so Uke was a pretty nice play by my opponent. If I do play off the 2 Vs with Vav, then my remaining tiles go quite well with playing parallel to odd, because my M and my N can both go under TO. And row N is a bingo lane for bingos beginning under ID as well as those beginning under TO. 5 minutes on my opponent's clock, 2 on mine. If the S and the blank are in the bag, my opponent may be wondering what's best to do. Okay, so my opponent's blocked row N, but he's opened row N, row O for bingos ending in C, and annoyingly he's blocked my Vav spot. He has also drawn more than 2 tiles, so I can't change, so I'm stuck with this rack. So I certainly need to play off 1 V, and I don't think I can play off 2. Vivar not good. 2 minutes on my clock. Now what I can do is just play though here. It opens up row D as a bingo lane. It makes it harder for my opponent to block the FOP spot unless he's got an E. Well, I can't see a 7 with this rack. Can't see anything onto the C of relic. I've drawn the final E, so the remaining tiles not looking quite as bingo-y as they were. However, there is a blank out there, and there is the FOP spot, so there could well be a bingo in column 15. Four tiles in the bag. Now I could play VAE next go for almost nothing. And the reason for doing that would be if there were still 2 tiles in the bag, because the rack lead would still be quite bingo-y. If my opponent plays off 3 tiles, well, I'm thinking in that case I would be thinking about playing 11 in column 8, or maybe something onto the C. It would be more a case of looking to go out in 2. Three minutes on my opponent's clock, 1 minute on mine. I'm just looking to see what plays I've got which end with a C. And I can't see anything. Now, the other nice spot for non-bingos is row D, using the Evo hook. And that's worked out quite well for me, since my opponent doesn't have an E. He can't go there himself unless he uses his blank. So I could play something like maybe. And if my opponent does leave one in the bag, then I'm looking to play off about 5 tiles, or as many tiles as possible, to increase my chances of being able to go out in one on my final turn. Two minutes on my opponent's clock. That FOP spot has stayed open for a very long time. I think my opponent will be drawn to using it now, assuming he has the S. Yeah, nice bingo. I'm going to challenge it in case it's not good. It's fine. So I can see what my opponent's got. He's got HHLW, which is awful. So this is my final rack, and it's quite a nice final rack to have. So if I put down Aelvin, that's not a great rack leave. So what about Maybe across here? 27 points, leaving EN. I can play EN over the top of Maybe. And I can also play NE and Kin. So I can certainly go out in one. I'm not providing anything fabulous for my opponent. There isn't anywhere fabulous elsewhere for my opponent that I ought to be blocking. So I now need to look around for the best spot for EN. Ten points above the top of Maybe. $13 underneath Odd. Yeah, so underneath Odd is the highest I've seen. 12 for Reb and Tin. And that's all I've seen. Nice play by my opponent, 18 points for him. And Knee here for 13. Just checking in case my opponent's provided a spot, a higher scoring spot. And, well, has he? Because Nor and L are good. 14 points, yes. Great. Vigilant till the end. Knee for 14. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game, which he does. And the final score, 317 for me, 507 for my opponent, a winning margin of 190 points. So well done to my opponent, a good high-scoring game for him. Let's see what I missed. So it was me to go first. I played Union, and I think that's better than IO known, because the U is not a great tile to have. My opponent plays a G. And what did I do here? I played Ode, which kept AEIR. Well, all of the rack leaves here are certainly vowel heavy, constituting only vowels, so I don't think there's much between those plays, and the shorter play provides fewer openings for my opponent and has a slightly better rack leave. This is where my opponent played liably, and it came off. I now have Cade. My opponent plays a bye, and this was a tricky vowel-heavy rack, and I went for where in the end, and I still like that. My opponent has fop. Now I have an awful rack, and I think this is where I changed. Well, that's pretty dumb. 27 points, keeping 6 vowels, so I don't like that. And then the sensible suggestions, AII for 9, is probably fairly close between that and changing. Nice rack for my opponent. He has a ton of bingos. He plays literal. Math, I didn't know that. J13. Okay, quite interesting. Flex, J14. Ah, that would have been worth considering for 34 points. What did I do? I played deft for 18, but retaining the S. Possibly flegs better, but DMT, not a great rack leave. Okay. Anyway, look at this for a rack. Fantastic rack for my opponent. He plays Satires. Now, I play Smorg for 40. Modges, also available from A15. That would have been nice. But Smorg retains the E, so there's actually not much between those. Not a great rack for my opponent, but he finds Zistai for 30, which is good. Now, this was a rack I spent a little while over because the tails are bingo-y. Now, what did I do? I think this was actually probably one of the most crucial moves in the game, because I played one, killing floaters, thinking I'd opened up a new tempting lane, but it was one which my opponent was easily able to shut down, and the alternative I was considering was Eon in column 2, which I still feel uneasy about just because it's so wildly open. However, Eon would have kept open D&D, and I would have had a bingo next go with the same pickup. So I don't feel great about playing one there. Now, what are the alternatives? C5. Donny. Well, that's not really achieving anything more than one, and it's for a worse rack cleave. Ondine A5 is wrecking the rack cleave. Well, there's merits and dismerits to all of these moves. One in this game didn't work out. I suspect there is a better play. Not a nice rack for my opponent, but he plays Garb. Wow, this was the rack which I was preparing to hold my head in shame if I had missed a bingo, because it's high probability there isn't a bingo here. And I played Doi to keep a really good rack leave. H1 Nidor. And Garbo. Yeah, probably worth considering because it's also opening up new bingo lanes. However, I wanted to retain I and N for an ING bingo in row O. My opponent plays Gore. Now, I do have a bingo. I have Citrine, and Crynite was the only alternative. But it provided a great spot for my opponent to play Tiz for 60, and I have 2 Vs, which I chuck back. I could have got 20 at N2. Well, maybe worth considering. However, the rack leave is awful with a duplicate tile and a U. I'm providing an easy spot in row O, and I'm killing the bingo lane through the I. So I actually prefer changing. All of these scores are pretty low with very non-bingo-y rack leaves. My opponent's rack, he plays Uke. And now I have a nice rack, but I don't have a playable bingo. And again, low scores with non-bingo-y rack leaves, so I'm in a difficult spot. I play odd to open up a new bingo lane, and I still like that. My opponent plays Relic. I pick up the 2 Vs, and I thought about 11, didn't like the rack leave. So what did I do? I played just the single V. My opponent has Outspam, which is a good spot. Now we're into the end game. I can see what my opponent's got. And I played Mavie. And I still like that. My opponent plays Hugh, which was a nice play. And finally, H1 Tyne. Okay, well, that scores the same as the any spot where I went, so that's fine. So a frustrating game. Just getting just over 300 is quite a low score, but I think it was still an interesting game, and I think the ONE move was probably the crucial one in the game, and it didn't work out, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was definitely the not a good play. However, it is still possible to determine winningest plays, and certainly if you think there's a play which is clearly better than one, please leave it in the comments below for discussion, because I think this was quite a turning point in the game, and it's the play which, even having looked at the suggestions from the programme, there isn't a clearly better play that I can see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching that video, and I will see you next time.